And again, starting things off, a couple of teams that were able to get things going on the right foot, but some others who a little bit of a stumble here at the start. But again, like you just said, Monster, one good match. We saw how many points were just collected in the last lobby, even for Possessed and Snacky. So I almost expect Possessed, Snacky, they still want a repeat performance and just keep building those points as high as possible.
Yeah, I know, like, winning doesn't, you know, it's not like yesterday, right? Like, oh, guaranteed grand finals, done. But basically, it's the same thing today. You win in that type of spectacular fashion, like, you're good. You're not going to have a problem by any means. 90-something points is an incredible amount of points. It's going to put you up towards the top. With only 3 games, you really only need, we talked about it, a game and a half, maybe 2, right? Of decent positioning, and you're just fine. Even like for Clips, we know we saw him kind of playing slow, going for the heal off, but stretching his way into a top, you know, 13, top 15. That's a great game, all things considering.
Yeah, and also there is the fact that at top 25, even if you're not in that threshold, you still get another opportunity with the 3 matches in the lower bracket. Of course, that being top 15, though, naturally going to be substantially more difficult to achieve. But inside of these off-spawn battles, that's where a lot of the action is going to be taking place. And Pars solo without Baka, but with a beautiful elimination to start things off in a double finish.
That was crazy. Doesn't
seem like Aaron had any idea how exposed he was through that window.
Yeah, just awareness check right there from Pars. Well played to go in and clutch that one up to save it for the team. See the standings there. 18 points is pretty much your 19 and above kind of threshold. Things start to jump up from 18th and onwards, but no Yuumi here. Bert has to try to not only finish this fight, but play for the save afterwards. Not going to be an easy task by any means. Crashpad was down, but abandoned. Next he wants to go for a better angle. And here goes the disengage from Vert. The tag there. That's going to be the confidence. That's going to be the momentum swing for sure. When you get that white tag like that. Look at that. The reboot ready and primed for the pickup.
Nexi, though, second guessing.
Yeah.
Almost can't fault him. Does seem a little bit as though Vert might still be trying to look for like another wraparound technique here. And that's the other side of these off-spawn battles, right? Because we know players want to be in that top 25, but 3 off-spawns, if you're not winning these off-spawns or even surviving them and you're going to these hotly contested drops, that can definitely, it can play a little bit of a mental game, I think, on some of the players. They just keep losing that off-spawn battle. Wouldn't be surprised to see some switch-ups for some teams if they don't have as much success with the off-spawn for games 1 and 2. Well, game 3 again, because one good one can be all it takes for the difference of being inside or out of that top 25 on the leaderboard. But right now, focus back over at Fencing Fields. Mason and Penn, they're going to be the ones that were able to claim the medallion and that Nisha's Mythic Striker AR. Very fortunate finds as well for Mason inside of the vault, given that he was actually able to secure a sniper. It doesn't happen. It's not a guarantee inside of these vaults, so some nice RNG coming into play there.
Yeah, things looking pretty good for Mason. For Tavern here, edgy. Opposite side of the map. Just getting the medals together, getting the rotation together. All very much standard practice. So far, so good, but let's get back into the action. Things finally do start to reach a conclusion point. Mason and Penn fight their way out of the vault and into another set of eliminations, bringing them on up to 4 now. We get to run that back here in just a moment as well, but talk about just a huge boon for them. That's a wonderful set of eliminations and points there. Go ahead and just keep them in the game right now. Keep them one step closer to grand finals now. Take a look at this one more time here. Mason holding things out. recognizes, all right, I'm running out of material here. But the sniper comes down.
No.
That is how you initiate a fight, undoubtedly. And then they just walk Nerface down, no problem. Bagged him up and got him out of there.
Nah, he's looking a little different for that one. Absolutely insane for that quick scope.
Good.
You know that's going in the next highlight reel. It's a guarantee at this point.
Another one for the trailer as we've continued to get this season just encapsulated game after game.
Moments like that, though, I was going to say, you really can't help but wonder, because I don't fault Curly or Nur for trying to look for that aggressive challenge. I mean, how often do we see teams outside of the vaults that look to try and take advantage of the team that just secured all that vault loot? And again, Click's Epic, a team that's usually able to take advantage of the Lavish Lair Vault as well as the Mythic that's available here. But yeah, you can definitely see Day and Redux on the hill just outside of Lavish, trying to pose some problems there.
Now Rise and Yamzo, same situation as well, just trying to find themselves some key positioning here. We get a little update with the forecast towers being secured. We already know that is the name of the game right now. Definitely we will play heavily into your favor, knowing exactly where that next zone's going to be. You should expect them to be in some of the best positioning.
Rise, though, spotting out TK's box and definitely being smart about how he chooses to rotate around ruined reels, opting for a little bit more elevation to not be as exposed here. Diminished. Fat tag into his shields, and that's going to be enough to incentivize him to retreat back to his box with Cam. 3 separate teams looking to try and engage on each other close to the Rebels' roost, but Cam and Diminish, they're going to be one of the first ones to do a little bit of fallback, a little bit of refarm on their materials. Sometimes when you get these multi-team engagements, it's pretty intense how quickly you can find yourself burning through mats. And Diminish Cam also definitely mindful of teams that might look to try and cut them off on the other side of this river here. So they're gonna opt to just try and get to as much high ground as possible, and then probably scope out, see what's actually breaking or causing problems to break out in their area.
The team just hiding out in the classy courts here. Chris and Noxy want nothing to do with it, though. So far in the outer edge of this zone here. Oh, they do have a team rotating here just to the side now. Snipers in the hands of Chris. Reet and Ritual continue the pace from last game. Finishing up a player as we jump in here. Full duo getting crossed out here at the railways. There's nothing here this team needs. They are so situated. This continues to be the story, I feel, of Reet and Ritual. We haven't seen them obviously pick up a win on Friday or Saturday, but they just haven't stopped staying at the top of the conversation as just very, very great duo to look out for this season. Surely we'll see them in grand finals at this pace.
When you consider just how well they've been placing throughout the weeks of competition, leading into today even, yeah, that top 25 looking relatively secure here. Rise and Iamzo, though. Rise trying to function without Iamzo. Might be able to clutch this one up, though, if he wins the engagement inside of these box fight 2v1 scenario, though. It's going to be tough. 2 separate angles that Maxo and Dolzer were contemplating. They're going to regroup here momentarily. Is now Rise, knowing that Iamzo has just been full elimed, wants to make a play for the reboot card. Definitely also wants to look for some additional damage, but is trying to be careful here. Doesn't want to find himself getting fully elimed at the same time. Although, as far as leaderboard points are concerned, in 10th place, definitely have some wiggle room as far as if they were to fall a little bit earlier on in this match, but can't ever count Rise out this early on. Dolzer and Maxo, they're gonna spend some time just hanging out next to Yamzo's reboot card. And that is one of the unfortunate circumstances that can take place when you lose your partner inside of some of these box fights, MDF. It's just, now that team has the luxury of sitting on your teammate's reboot card because they've already got their surge damage online.
That's right, they have options. And, I mean, that may be one of the toxic options to go with, but it's a good play nonetheless in a 3-game type of format. Call it a mini format, if you will, where, you know, an elimination's worth a lot, right? You saw there, though, Yamzo and Rise are at 40 points. That puts them in top 10 currently after game 1. But EU, the cutoff was around, I believe, 60 points for top 25. So it shows you that it's just not over yet. Even if you use that as your baseline foundation, you have to have another good game. You just can't not make points after coming in a hot game 1. So everything matters. No early checkouts.
I like this rotation, though, out of Polarize and Death. They recognized the fact that there was already a team situated on the hill east of Pleasant Piazza. They didn't want to waste too many of their own materials either, so they opted to just use that natural cliff face to run through the low ground, essentially, without having to worry about eating any sort of damage. With 3 Shieldfish online, 3 medkits. Granted, Polarize definitely gonna have to use at least 1 or 2 of these, and with the vending here, though, at Pleasant Piazza, as long as it hasn't been fully depleted, they should have no issues with maintaining their white heals. Meanwhile, teams like Zooks and Bolts, they're just gonna opt for their cash instead as a source for more loot and materials. And Zooks and Bolts, though, definitely looking relatively stacked for their mid-game.
Reet and Ritual continuing the key right now. What is going on? They're at 4 eliminations. They're at max material. They're like, you want to base up? You want to play this game slow? Sorry, buddy. Golden gets crossed out of the competition. That's 5 elims now. And this is what I mean by Reet and Ritual will be a team to contend for the FNCS title this season. They are coming for everyone this season. And now keying out Ozone here as well, deciding that they want to push this too. Lobby, though, not making it simple by any means as they get farmed for surge tags here, but
you know, Reet's annoyed.
Yeah, it just makes you really think about it, though. Like, what is going through Reet and Ritual's mind here?
They recognize the fact that Ozone likely a solo, considering that they haven't seen anybody else moving anywhere near him. So Reet,
well, they took out Golden, right? Like,
yeah, they really wanted to chase Ozone out. It's the fact that they came all the way back to Reckless Railways, and now they might even be opting for the disengage one more time. Actually gonna look for a little bit more of that dead side rotation now. But curious to see what happens with Ozone. I don't know if he's gonna be able to fully escape Reckless Railways at this rate.
Nobody in sight right now for the sniper in play. Even Freeze not looking to peek outside the box, but a good update nonetheless. Now we jump back in with Day and Redux. Continue to be highlight all weekend long here throughout the broadcast. Redux and Day find themselves in this situation because of that game 1 second place that they picked up. You can't let it be lived down. It's just that close. And this is what they're thinking about every single time they queue in now, as they've been chasing that prestigious victory royale ever since.
In the words of Redux, it's all for the plot at this point. Can't worry about the woes of yesterday, because that top 25 is certainly what Day and Redux are gunning for today. And whether or not they're successful, only time will tell. But Revised, Rocane, definitely a team that we've seen have moderate success. They're actually going to be based up here by Rift Island, and Beast, Jojo Fishy, seemingly a team that's also got their eyes on the duos that might have landed over at the Rift Island. But these teams that choose to hang out at the bottom of Rift Island, they get a little bit of elevation leverage in the boxes that they build, but also it's just, you can have the rifts for a quick rotate, which can definitely prevent some issues as far as getting too far out in Storm to where you feel like you can't actually get that ideal positioning. Rifting typically going to be able to help that process out pretty heavily.
I'm trying to figure out who signed off on this massive metal base this early outside the zone. I get it, the weapons cache was the target, but geez, that's a lot of metal. It's going to be much harder to recoup here as we start edging our way through. Surge is active now. All of the teams in the lobby have been given an update here on where they stand. Here's a team that shouldn't have any issue with it, Taka, though. We already know they are our elimination leaders so far here. They have Piggle and Jiven in sight. Jiven, hybrid creator, professional player. We've seen him continue to trend upwards season after season.
And for Jiven and Piggle too, it's exciting. Coached by Destiny's Jesus. Quick shout out to him because his team, Jiven and Piggle, giving so much credit to their coaches' strategies as well. It'd be cool to see just how the coaches' strategical development plays out for that duo, though. Definitely got to be careful, knowing that it's Reet and Ritual underneath them, but it's not like they're aware of that. It's Rise getting some nice shots into the backside. Quanti, Byla, now you're gonna have to opt to just drop down another layer here, so that's gonna be enough breathing room created for Iyamzo to get his shields back to full. Rise also needing to get a little bit of his white HP back online, but Quanti, Byla here inside of the Ruin Reels, this could be a big fight for them because these are two teams that certainly could utilize a little bit more surge tag damage. So wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe look to commit slightly harder to this rotate, but given the fact that Quanti's got the crash pad out, can't say that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I was just looking at the loadout for Quanti. I don't think he's really looking to entertain a close range fight like that. They were happy with the tags. They want to position themselves up to continue to farm longer range tags, and even this might be exactly what he needed. Yup, there it is, a shotgun to come out. So, hey, sometimes the stars just align, right? And things come together. New options start to become available for him. Back on over to Duke and Threats, who are below the surge here. Player in front of them, this is where, for every tag they miss, I mean, it feels really, really bad right here, especially when they're below the surge and they can see the clock ticking here as the zone's starting to close in.
But if it comes down to who can hold out who longer, Duke, Threats, and realizing they don't want to get too far caught behind the rest of the lobby on these rotates. But Duke still making sure to look back. He's got solid control now. Noxie's movement's just so heavily restricted, and Duke with those tags managing to connect. Now gonna be just above that damage threshold. Duke though, he's bold with the peaks in a Reaper Sniper meta, Monster.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm just thinking like, dang, this dude's really trying to go toe-to-toe with the boxes out in the distance. Not just one, but 3 different walls getting fired at there. He's looking to really just throw darts and see what sticks. But all in all, you should be happy it wasn't clicks. Got his sniper primed and ready here. Still hunting for the shot right now.
And this is something, too, that Vivid also made a great point on, I believe, during one of the analyst segments on yesterday's show. It's that Clicks and Epic do seem a little dependent in terms of Clicks actually managing to connect with his Reaper Sniper shots. That's where a lot of this team's surge damage usually tends to come from. And they are hanging just above that damage threshold as well. But again, a lot of our big name teams seemingly struggling with getting that damage as far above that damage threshold as they would like. Here's a team, though. Oh, let's see the turnaround. Iamzo, Rise. They've been putting in work since they were last spotted at Ruined Reels. And with players getting elimed, you can see their damage threshold just jumping, skyrocketing. Now it's all going to be a focus on positioning. So many boxes already built up on this hill, though. Iamzo going to choose to skirt by. Heads more towards that side front of zone. Does a great job getting there, too.
Yep. While that was happening, looks like Macwood fell. Blake now falls as well. Agers found himself an elimination. There goes the finishes. So a lot happening here. A lot of trades already exchanging here as the zones are starting to move over. We, of course, got the highlights on those as well. It's just non-stop for Reet and Ritual here, who are looking to likely set an elimination record right now this early into the end game and already approaching their 8th elimination here. And we saw them pick up Macwood, and another team ends up finishing off Blake eventually too. Look at this. You look at the zone. Clix and Epic Whale have continued to flex their ability to rotate, their ability to get into key positioning game after game, playing for high ground. I definitely like that we are seeing this type of playstyle come out of them, considering that all that matters right now is that you finish towards that top 25 for the grand final spot. So placement being key. It's one way to go about it.
Clix and Epic, though, struggled a little bit as far as their tarping was concerned on high ground. And now, gonna opt actually to just maintain staying in front of the lobby, jumping themselves to the front side of the next zone. Clix now looking back, trying to get some shots onto Rise, but won't connect just yet. Instead, it's gonna be focus shift more towards some of the boxes. A lot of congestion building up now in these low ground layers, and keep in mind, low ground's last spotted. That's where we've been seeing Reet and Ritual absolutely dominating. Clix even opting to try and get a little piece of the action. Reet and Ritual now out in front of everyone else, but again, it's the low ground control, MDF, that I'm really trying to keep tabs on for these two, because if they can just continue building out, tarping out the entirety of the low ground, it's going to make things so much more difficult for some of these players that are just slightly further behind them, because if they drop even one layer, well, that's going to be Reet and Ritual's builds. That's going to be all too easy for these two to collect, and we've seen how aggressive they're willing to be. They don't care about how far above the damage threshold they are. They will take every challenge at this rate.
Yeah, they just look like they're playing a different game at this point. Reet and Ritual are a much different dimension, right? They have a newfound understanding of how to run this lobby here, and they're honestly determining the pace of the game, which is very, very impressive to do this late into the tournament stage, playing as if they don't have anything to fear as far as grand finals is concerned, and that level of confidence is just getting me more excited for them leaning into the grand finals at this point. But for now, there's still a lot to be achieved here for Agers and Kanata, who only have 2 eliminations. Not nearly on the run as some of the counterparts in this lobby. Aka and Pars in the same position as well. The zone ends up bouncing back. This is a difficult zone to play with. I don't think we've even highlighted that just yet. Things have taken a turn for the worse here as we've left the land masses and now have continued to essentially bounce back and forth. And you can tell that even Clix was having a hard time controlling the narrative here, controlling the high ground at that point, because they were well in ahead of all their competitions, and now look, found themselves in a tough spot to be in, and even with the grapple blade, Clix faces the fall damage there.
Definitely an unfortunate circumstance, but Epic will follow shortly after with no builds, no way to truly protect himself from the all-seeing eyes of Duke and Threats. But yeah, this zone pulling straight over the water. Don't think it could have been any more vicious. We thought the mountain pools were bad enough. But now Iamzo trying to see if he can get this revive off onto Rise. Think he might get away with it. There's nobody else on secondary height with them. But Duke, Threats, they're doing everything they can to prevent this from following through, crushing there for Yamzo as he's forced to abandon his rescue
Look at this,
mission there
though.
onto Rise. Teams flying upwards, trying to challenge. Azers, Kanata, they've done enough. They knocked down Duke in the process, and now High Ground completely switched over. It's Kanata, it's Azers, and they're the ones now dominating all these lower layers.
Look at this, finds a huge pickup there. The heals, the med kits, right? Everything that they need now to even play this one out for a victory from above. The grapple blade still replenished to Baka and Pars have also just managed to turn online here as they find themselves at 4 eliminations, sliding across the outskirts. Baka gets caught though, unfortunately, and trapped up. Pars has to abandon him essentially here, but this is where Pars plays well. Piggle taken out there with a monster shot from Pars, and there's another solo behind this wall who might just face the same fate. Here it is. He's gonna swing around the wall. Low ground finds himself another set of eliminations there too. The points adding up here. Reet, Ritual, approaching 15 eliminations now. Make it 16. The count continuing to rise here. What is happening? Reet and Ritual turn all of the tables against Azers, Kanata, and everyone else in the mix here, and then close the game out in just a completely different fashion.
Nah, Reet and Ritual are actually the main characters of lobby number 2. That was disgusting, though. We just see Reet and Ritual putting on a clinic, essentially, MDF. They were absolutely refusing to let anyone stay standing. If they had eyes on you, chances are you're going to get eliminated right after that.
We saw how aggressive they were playing just from the middle of the game, playing without a care in the world for what seemed to be the results of this game number 2, but it just showed you that they put all doubts aside and said, hey, let's just be the better team in this lobby, and they did just that. And again, this is a very, very difficult game, but you have to attribute all of the eliminations to their success, because there wasn't a single point where we felt like you looked at their loadout and they were that far behind considering the stage of the game that we were in. Even here, Ritual has over 600 mats in High Ground, enough time to dance. Like they just had the whole game on lock.
They had complete control of the low ground for so long, MDF. I'm not surprised to see that eventual conversion into the high ground overtake. Ritual kind of just spotting out the fact that a lot of teams struggling to stay standing up above. But again, these zone pulls definitely pretty brutal for that one.
Well, listen, for sure, a near 20 elimination game. The pace is insane. Let's toss on over to Zeke and the company to get us caught up on that one.